What if I told you that nearly 5,000 meters beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, in a region so dark and so pressurized that sunlight has never touched it, an autonomous AI drone recorded something that is quietly reshaping science? Far below the waves, inside a remote stretch known as the Clarion Clipperton zone, researchers deployed a fully independent robotic system. No pilots, no cables, no real-time human control. Its objective was straightforward: map the ocean floor and collect environmental data. What it transmitted back was anything but routine. At first, the object appeared ordinary, a small, rounded stone resting in deep-sea sediment, the kind of formation scientists have cataloged for decades. But as the drone's sensors analyzed its composition, the readings began to stand out. This was not just rock. It contained unusually high concentrations of manganese, nickel, cobalt, and copper, metals essential for renewable energy systems, electric vehicles, advanced computing, and next-generation artificial intelligence. And that was only the beginning. In an environment where temperatures hover just above freezing and pressure exceeds 500 times what we experience at sea level, the instruments detected something else, a subtle but measurable phenomenon that did not align with established expectations. The data suggested that these deep-sea nodules may be doing something no one had documented before, something that challenges long-standing assumptions about how our planet functions. Estimates indicate that the mineral wealth across this region could reach into the trillions of dollars. Governments are studying it. Energy companies are evaluating it. Scientists are proceeding carefully, aware that what has been uncovered may be larger than resource extraction. Because this discovery is not just about metals. It may force us to reconsider how oxygen can be produced, how ecosystems survive in total darkness, and how life-supporting chemistry might exist in places once thought impossible, even beyond Earth. Before we descend further, make sure you're subscribed. What lies beneath the ocean's surface is no longer just a geological curiosity. It may be one of the most important scientific revelations of our time. This is the journey into Earth's deepest frontier. Stretching across 4.5 million square kilometers of seafloor between Hawaii and the coast of Mexico, this abyssal plain is larger than the entire European Union. Depths plunge to nearly 5,500 meters. Temperatures hover just above freezing. Pressure rises to more than 500 times what we feel at sea level. No sunlight has ever reached this place. If you wanted to experience another world without leaving Earth, this would be it. For decades, mining companies have watched the CCCZ closely. Scattered across its floor lie billions of polymetallic nodules, rounded stones rich in manganese, nickel, cobalt, and copper. Metals essential for renewable energy systems, electric vehicles, and advanced computing. On paper, the region represents immense economic potential. But in 2021, a different mission began. Scientists from the Scottish Association for Marine Science, led by deep-sea researcher Andrew Sweetman, deployed into the CCZ with a far more fundamental question. Not how much metal was down there, but how life survives at all. Their focus was oxygen, specifically how it moves through the deep-sea sediments where some of Earth's most unusual organisms persist against extreme odds. To investigate, the team deployed advanced autonomous landers, AI-guided robotic laboratories designed to descend thousands of meters, settle onto the seafloor, and conduct precise experiments without direct human control. Each lander carried sealed benthic chambers, controlled environments containing samples of mud and seawater equipped with highly sensitive oxygen sensors. The idea was simple. If microorganisms in the sediment were active, they would consume oxygen. Sensors would detect a steady decline. Data would stream back to the research vessel above. The biological rhythm of the deep would reveal itself. But from the very first readings, something did not follow the script. Instead of decreasing, oxygen levels inside the chambers began to rise. At first, the team assumed instrumentation error. At depths like these, caution is routine. Salt water interferes with electronics. Extreme pressure can warp materials. Near freezing temperatures can affect calibration, so they recalibrated, they rechecked every connection, they repeated the experiment, they deployed additional landers in different areas of the CCZ, and the data returned unchanged. Oxygen levels were increasing when every established model said they should be falling. The pattern persisted across locations, across instruments, across expeditions. Gradually, the realization settled in. In total darkness, nearly 5 kilometers beneath the ocean's surface, something was producing oxygen. For generations, science has understood photosynthesis, powered by sunlight, to be the primary source of breathable oxygen. Plants and algae split water molecules using light energy. That is the foundation of Earth's atmospheric system. But here, in a sunless abyss, autonomous machines were recording oxygen production without light, without plants, and without any obvious biological source. It was like discovering combustion in the depths of the ocean. The team began exploring new possibilities. Could certain minerals react with seawater in unexpected ways? Could electrochemical processes be occurring under immense pressure? Was there an entirely different mechanism operating quietly in the dark? The implications reached far beyond oceanography. If oxygen could be generated without sunlight through purely geochemical processes, then our understanding of how ecosystems function, how early life endured on Earth, and how life might survive on distant ocean worlds would need to be reconsidered. What began as a routine measurement of sediment biology had become something much larger. The abyss was no longer just a mineral resource. It was revealing a planetary process hidden in plain sight. If oxygen could form without sunlight and without living organisms, then our most basic assumptions about deep-sea ecosystems would need to be reconsidered. For decades, the model was clear: no light, no photosynthesis, no new oxygen. Yet here, in complete darkness, the data suggested otherwise. Such a process might even help explain how life endured on early Earth, long before the atmosphere contained the oxygen levels we depend on today. And it raises an even broader possibility. On distant ocean worlds like Europa and Enceladus, sunlight never reaches the subsurface seas. Yet if oxygen or similar reactive chemicals can be generated through purely geochemical means, then the conditions required for life may be far more flexible than once believed. But before looking to other worlds, the team had to rule out the simplest explanation here on Earth. The first suspect was life itself. Despite the crushing pressure and near-freezing temperatures of the Clarion Clipperton zone, the deep ocean is not empty. Microbial life has been discovered in underground rock formations, within Arctic ice, and near hydrothermal vents where temperatures approach boiling. Many of these organisms survive without sunlight, relying instead on sulfur, methane, or iron-based chemistry. So when autonomous landers recorded rising oxygen levels in sealed chambers, bacteria were the obvious explanation. To test that possibility, the researchers eliminated biology from the equation. They treated the benthic chambers with powerful biocides, compounds designed to rupture cell membranes and halt metabolic activity. The goal was complete sterilization. No microbes, no hidden metabolism, no biological interference. Once treated, the chambers were lowered again nearly 5,000 meters to the seafloor. The AI-guided systems settled into the sediment. Sensors activated. Data began streaming upward. On board the research vessel, expectations were straightforward. Without microbial life, oxygen levels should either stabilize or slowly decline. They did neither. When the readings returned, oxygen was rising, just as before, not rapidly, not chaotically, but steadily. The pattern repeated across multiple deployments, across different locations, across separate expeditions. Each time, the same trend emerged. This was no longer a faulty sensor, no longer contamination, no longer coincidence. Even in sterilized chambers, oxygen was appearing in total darkness. The team intensified its controls. Additional sterilization methods were applied. Different dosages, different chamber sizes, different placements across the CCZ. Every variable that could be adjusted was adjusted. Yet the outcome did not change. Oxygen continued to form where no known biological process could account for it. Then, in 2022, an unexpected clue surfaced. During a presentation about deep-sea mining, Dr. Andrew Sweetman heard a phrase used almost casually: batteries in a rock. It was meant as a metaphor to describe the metallic composition of polymetallic nodules scattered across the seabed. But the phrase lingered. For over a year, his team had been collecting puzzling data from the abyss. And while these nodules were often regarded as inert mineral deposits, a question began to form. What if they were not inert at all? Certain mineral combinations, when exposed to salt water, can generate tiny electrical potentials. Under laboratory simulations, the team began testing collected samples. The results were subtle, but measurable. Under specific conditions, the nodules produced small electrical currents. It was not dramatic, not explosive, but it was real, and it shifted perspective entirely. These were not just metal-rich stones waiting to be harvested. They could be electrochemical systems, quietly interacting with seawater under immense pressure. Then came another observation. While AI systems performed routine diagnostics aboard the research vessel, instruments detected a faint, steady electrical signal, approximately 1 volt. In everyday terms, that is modest, far below what is required to power household devices. But in an environment considered chemically stable and electrically quiet, even a small persistent voltage demanded attention. There were no external power sources nearby, no obvious generators, no significant thermal gradients. Multiple instrument checks confirmed the reading. Something deep below was driving electrons in a single direction, silently, continuously. Electrochemistry does not require dramatic forces. Even low voltages, given enough time, can alter molecular structures. It is the principle behind corrosion, behind certain hydrothermal reactions, behind many of the chemical gradients that sustain life in extreme environments. Energy does not always arrive in flashes. Sometimes it moves slowly, through rock and water, reshaping chemistry in ways that are easy to overlook. In the darkness of the abyss, it appeared that such a process had been operating all along, unnoticed until autonomous machines recorded it with precision. The secret of the breathing stones. After years of meticulous analysis, with data transmitted continuously from autonomous landers resting nearly 5 kilometers below the surface, the team led by Andrew Sweetman reached a conclusion few had anticipated. The answer had been there from the beginning. Scattered across the floor of the Clarion Clipperton zone lie billions of polymetallic nodules, rounded potato-sized formations rich in manganese, nickel, cobalt, and copper. For decades, they were viewed primarily as mineral resources, components for batteries, renewable infrastructure, and advanced technologies. But under the immense pressure of the deep ocean, these nodules appear to do something more. When seawater interacts with their layered metallic composition, microscopic electrical gradients can form. Individually, they are small, subtle, almost undetectable without precision instrumentation. But collectively, across vast fields of nodules, their effect becomes measurable. Those tiny electrical currents are sufficient to initiate electrolysis, the splitting of water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. It is the same fundamental chemistry used in industrial systems on the surface. But here it unfolds naturally, in total darkness, under crushing pressure, without human design. Oxygen is released slowly into the surrounding water. Hydrogen disperses into the sediment, a quiet, continuous reaction. This process, sometimes referred to as dark oxygen production, represents a new category of natural oxygen generation, entirely geochemical, entirely independent of sunlight, independent of photosynthesis, independent of life itself. For centuries, biology was considered the primary architect of breathable oxygen. Yet here, chemistry and physics appear to be operating a parallel system in one of Earth's most extreme environments. None of it would have been recognized without the steady, unbiased recordings of AI-guided systems working where humans cannot. As Dr. Sweetman explained, This is not merely a curious anomaly. It may represent a planetary function that has operated quietly for millions of years, and it forces a reassessment. If oxygen can form through electrochemical interactions in the deepest regions of our oceans, then similar processes could occur elsewhere. On Mars, beneath the icy crust of Europa, within the subsurface seas of Enceladus. Worlds once dismissed as inhospitable may host chemical systems capable of generating reactive oxygen compounds in complete darkness. For astrobiologists, this expands the definition of habitability. Sunlight may not be the only path to energy gradients capable of supporting life. But the discovery carries another dimension. The same nodules potentially responsible for this oxygen production are the focus of increasing interest from the deep-sea mining industry. Their metals are critical for renewable energy storage, electric vehicles, and emerging technologies designed to reduce surface carbon emissions. This creates a profound question. If these nodules contribute to oxygen generation in the abyss, what happens if they are removed at industrial scale? Could a system we are only beginning to understand be altered before its role is fully mapped? Could ecosystems adapted to this slow chemical process be affected in ways we cannot yet predict? What began as a straightforward study of sediment respiration has evolved into something far larger. A race to understand a hidden geochemical cycle before irreversible decisions are made. The deep sea, once considered a barren expanse, is revealing itself as dynamic, interactive, and chemically active. 5,000 meters below the surface, beneath silence and pressure beyond human endurance, fields of metallic stones have been participating in a planetary process for millennia. It took autonomous machines descending into the abyss to record the pattern clearly. What happens next, whether we study, protect, harvest, or reshape this environment, will depend not only on technology, but on the choices made at the surface. The breathing stones have been there all along. Now that we know they exist, the responsibility moves upward.